if it doesn't go to plan, don't worry. There's always other things you can do. Everyone's going to go for it, do the best you can. But you know what? It's not the end of the world if you don't. I failed just about every exam I've ever taken.
My name's Peter Sumpton, and this is the Marketing Study Lab podcast. A podcast for those that are thinking, have thought and are doing, or already have a marketing qualification. But there's a little bit of something for everyone, as we cover a whole host of marketing topics. I chat to some amazing guests, each one a superstar in their own niche. And if you have a burning marketing question already, or after this episode, get in touch. We'll chat it through. peter@marketingstudylab.co.uk, or find me on LinkedIn. The link is in the show notes. If you'd like to leave a review on iTunes, this will really help others find this podcast and spread the marketing word. Now let's get on with today's episode. This episode is all about people. People online, people on social, people in, real life. Real people, imagine that. Not only will we look at this element of the extended marketing mix, but this topic is what our next guest is all about. Mark Shaw is known for his outspoken posts on social media, but he is also known as the anti-social speaker. But why? Well, after numerous unrelated jobs, Mark became one of the UK's leading authorities on social media, and for 10 years was the go-to guy for the BBC, Sky News, many journalists, and many businesses as well. Now, he's trying to expose the frailties behind what a lot of marketers see as their only comms channel, social media. Mark is not anti-social media as he is anti what social media has become. Obviously, the very first thing I wanted to ask Mark was, what's the most embarrassing thing you've ever posted?
Okay, so many years ago, I actually walked round the centre of London, just off Camden Town and stuff, with a big sandwich board. And it had on it, got a photo of it, had on it, ask me any questions about Twitter. And I had loads of people coming up to me. So that would probably be one of the most embarrassing things that I've posted on there. And that probably was one of my best posts in terms of getting shared around. So, yeah.
And what were they asking?
Just anything.
Wow.
I was very much into Twitter, which we'll talk about in a few moments. But and I wanted to demonstrate to people how you need to get out there and you need to be doing something different and ask me questions. Was that? So cool. That worked really well.
Like it. Okay, then take us through your story. What's brought you to this stage of your career as, interesting title, the anti-social speaker?
Okay, so 2008, I got in on Twitter and I studied it and I learned it, and a couple of interesting things. One, I was predominantly talking about business for Twitter. No one else seemed to be doing that. So I very much got going with that. And after about a year of not much happening, I suddenly got a phone call on the radio. And that started me doing a whole series of radio interviews and stuff. About 200 to 300 interviews later, I was the go-to guy for the BBC, spoke all around the planet on Twitter for business, how to be effective. I had all the clients, the consultancy, the speaking, the radio. It's fantastic. That lasted for about 8 years or so. Then, about 3 years ago, the phone sort of stopped ringing. And the phone sort of stopped ringing for a couple of reasons. One, I trained so many people that everyone and their auntie was our social media expert. All the people that used to ring me up, the Sky Newses and whatever, now were ringing up other people that I trained and whatever. The whole space was just full up of everyone and their auntie being a social media expert. So I thought now's probably a really good time to just take a step back, see where I want to go with any of this stuff anywhere at all. So I took a back seat. I came off LinkedIn. I came off Facebook. I shut everything down. I kept my Twitter account. Because I still like getting breaking news and I share my holiday and one thing and another. And while I was away, I started to realize that although I believed, and I still believe social can be great for business, the vast majority of businesses, it's the kiss of death for them. They've stopped doing the stuff they should be doing. They've stopped doing the tried and trusted marketing activities that have been from the dawn of time, phoning, networking, leaflets, just walking up and down your high street. And all they think is it's got to be social. There's nothing else. It's the be all and end all. So I came up with this thing, the antisocial speaker, person, whatever, just to try and explain to people that while social has a place, and I think businesses probably might need to be on social. I'm not even convinced they have to be, but let's just say they might have to be on social. There's also a ton of other things that they should and could be doing. But for the vast majority, I think it's put a serious dent in how much revenue they bring in. And why is that? Because it's too distracting. They get too caught up with the vanity metrics, like shares, retweets, and whatever, and how many followers you got, which are all meaningless. But it gives everyone that warm and fuzzy feeling. You go away thinking, oh my God, 14 people have liked a photo of a puppy or a croissant or a bun or whatever I'm posted. So you feel great about life, but you actually have achieved nothing. That's not going to, there is one end game of social media, and that is to sell more stuff. Now, I know people then say to me, well, hang on a minute, Mark, I'm not in it to sell more stuff. I want more brand awareness. Yeah, to sell more of your stuff. It's always about selling more stuff. So I wanted to just explain to people. Now, I've actually been saying to people for the last 2 years about this, but the timing's been wrong. Mm-hmm. People have just not wanted to listen, been in the wrong place for a million different reasons. Now, I think the timing's about to be right. And the reason why I say that is because I see so many other posts and content and other people starting to go, you know what? We're not really getting anything out of this. Nothing's happening. No actual business is turning up. I'm not actually getting any clients. And I'm just pumping out non-stop content. And it's not leading to anything. You see, it's battle of the eyeballs with content. And me, you, and pretty much everybody else bar the celebrities are going to lose. And the reason why we're all going to lose is because we don't have the celebrity status, the TV show, the wealth, the fame, the audience to start with, the tribe, the gang, whatever you want to call it. So getting your message in front of anybody these days is incredibly difficult. So what do people then do? They just chuck up anything to get something out. The quotes, the Gandhi quotes, the Steve Jobs, the Oprah Winfrey stuff, the puppies, the sunrise, the sunset, anything to get content out. But no one's looking at it. And if they do look at it, and you're not in the puppy selling business, how will a puppy help you sell more of your product? So while you're doing all that imagey stuff and you're changing your header on Facebook and you're putting a new banner on Instagram and you've got your photo of a bun on wherever, you're not on the phone. You're not going to the high street. I said to someone a few months ago, I said to them, someone in your high street's got a product or so that you want to hook up with, maybe a collaboration. What would you do to find them? And they went, well, I'd see if they're on Facebook and I'd see if they're on LinkedIn and I'd see if I could connect and direct message. And I said, well, they just walk up the high street. What are you doing? What's all this LinkedIn stuff? Then too many people are focused on trying to find a customer in Venezuela, a million miles from their home, when your bestest customers are on your doorstep, are local to you. Now, I'm not saying do nothing. But what I am saying is focus on one thing. Your job is to be amazing at your business, not to be amazing at social media. And here's the cranker. When you are amazing at your business and you deliver beyond expectations and you wow your customer and it's incredible, what then happens? People share everything about your business on social. So embrace the culture, give people a great story to talk about on social. But you don't have to be doing any of the content. That's how to utilize social media. And that's why I came up with this whole antisocial thing, to get people thinking about this stuff.
So I think you went into a good explanation into what you actually do and what an antisocial speaker is, if you like. If you can class them as an antisocial speaker, yes. You're the only one I know that does it as well as you do. So this social media thing, in your opinion, is it a gift or a curse then?
Okay, so I think normally I like to give it's one or the other, but in this particular, I think it's both. I think for those who understand it effectively, have a plan, have a strategy, have an idea what they're doing. Most people have no clue, no idea, no strategy, no plan. Then it's a curse. And it's a curse because you are going to just waste your time every single day for hours with nothing to show for it other than a few more followers, a couple of likes and a comment. For the people who do get it and understand its power and its capabilities, then it's a gift because then, yes, you can find great opportunities. You can find targeted people to speak to. You can advertise through social media. All right. That's not social media. That's advertising, pay to play. But you'll get very targeted people because here's the thing, whether we like it or not, there's a lot of people in these places, 500 million on LinkedIn, I don't know, 3 billion or however many on Facebook. So you can't say that your audience aren't on these. Of course they are. They're on all these places. So understand what you have available, resources, time, energy. If you can do one, you've got 2 minutes every month to do something on social, forget it. You don't want to be on social. Do something else. So it's both.
It's interesting that you say that. I had a conversation not so long ago with somebody, and they were looking to change what they were doing, whether they use an agency, whether they don't use an agency, and that agency was partly doing social for them. And the conversation was, well, if we're going to do it properly, we need to be focused on it, like you've said, and create a strategy around it. And their answer to what we should be doing is, can't such and such just do it? And it was just that I think that's the main problem is that because, like you rightly said, everybody's on there, regardless of what you think. Your audience is on there in some way, shape, or form, because those people are also on it, and they see the social element. They see their aunties, their uncles, their friends, their relatives sharing things. Well, it's that simple. Just share stuff, and that's it, done. Like you said, it's all about strategy. It's just another comms channel.
But I think here's one of the most important things as well, though, is that far too many businesses, they start with the question, which platform should we be on? That's the wrong question to start with. Forget which platform. You need to go back 14 steps. Okay. What's our marketing plan, of which social is one part of that? What resources do we have? Who's doing any stuff?
Mm-hmm.
What money have we got? What time have we got? What content have we got? We got no content to share. What are you going to be putting out? You just the Gandhi quotes because you've got nothing else to say, right? So it's the wrong question, which platform at the beginning. Once you've established your marketing objectives, then how are we best going to deliver that? And it might be social. It might be doing local radio adverts. It could be a completely different thing. That's the point that no one seems to think of. It's just, we got to be on social. We got to be on. No, you haven't. Not if you're going to do it badly and just waste your time, which most are.
For a lot of businesses, it's dead easy to go after this new shiny thing that's there. And if that doesn't work, the next new shiny thing and the next new shiny thing. And then you end up falling down this rabbit hole, basically. How can we avoid doing this and just be more productive?
By taking the steps backwards and asking yourself, what resources do you have? The end game is to sell more stuff. How much time, energy, and whatever do we have available? Who's going to do it? Are they trained? Do they have guidance, guidelines, support? Do they know what they're doing? Once you've established all that, then you need to ask yourself, okay, everything we put out, you need to ask yourself one question. Does it drive the needle nearer or further away from your objectives? If the needle doesn't move, why are you posting it? If the needle doesn't make any difference, why are you posting it? So that's when you need to go, okay, what content do we have? What can we post? What can we do that works with our brand, with our tone, with our business? And if the answer is, oh my God, we haven't really got anything, then you need to think, okay, social might be great, but it ain't going to be for us. Now we need to go, okay, let's look at our business. Maybe so for example, let's take a hotel. It's got a beautiful place where you can have a sunrise and sunset photo. Let's put a big sign up. Take your Instagram selfie here for the best sunrise ever. Encourage people to take the stuff so you haven't got to provide the content all the time. Why is it when you go to hotels, you go into the bedroom and they've got the towels like a swan? Why? Because they know you're going to go, oh, wow, I need to take a photo of that for the Facebook. Why, when you go to a restaurant now, do you get your photo served in a wheelbarrow and it's on fire and it's exploding and the chips are in a frying pan and all that nonsense? Never used to be like that, because they want you to take a photo for instant social. That's understanding that you can't keep creating all this content because it's tough. So let your audience create the content. You just need to give them a wow, give them a moment, give them a reason. So perhaps focus on all of that rather than, oh my God, we all need to be on Instagram because I can share a photo of a ham sandwich. How many days can you keep doing that? You're going to run out after a week, and then what? And who's going to like a photo of a ham sandwich? Nobody.
It depends how it's served.
Depends how it's served, but that's where they start at the wrong place. And that's why so many of them get no results, or the results they talk about are in terms of followers, connections, likes, shares. Don't care. None of them are going to pay any of your bills. Talk to me about how much extra you are selling because of your social media activities. That's what I want to talk about. And that's what you should only be thinking about.
Would you say that getting an agency to help you with your social activity can drive a business forward, or would you always advocate trying to keep it in-house because people are closest to that content, that information, that whole brand ethos, really?
Okay, great question. Firstly, I don't think an agency can be a person. So if it's an individual, you can't be me. You can't have someone else pretending to be. So I know the big celebrities, please don't tell me, all these big famous people are doing it themselves. They're not. It's an agency. Okay. So I don't think they can do that. Now, an agency, I think, can be great for your business, but they need to know how to answer people. They need to know the tone, the style, what's it all about, why are we doing it, the framework of what we can talk about, what we can't talk about, because the action is in the engaging. The action is in the replying. And if they can't reply to anything because they've got to wait for you to tell them what they have to say, and that takes 2 days, well, that's not social media. That's a press release. So you need to get that in place first. And then, yes, why not? They can represent you. They can push out some quality content because maybe they've got editors, writers, video people who can produce the stuff. Fantastic. Better quality than you could ever do. Fantastic. And the end user gets quality content that's fresh, unique, valuable, interesting, and different. So yeah, on that basis, I think they can do a great job.
Excellent. So they can do a great job regardless whether it's internal or external, as long as the structure's in place. But
yes,
in essence, how do we get noticed? Because today it's very loud, it's very crowded. So what's the best way to get, and I know it's different for different organizations depending on legislation and what they can and can't say, but in general, how do we get noticed?
Okay, well, as you said, it's incredibly noisy. It's very difficult. This is not easy. And anyone who thinks you can just turn up and chuck up, it's not. But there are some key things you can do that will get you a better chance. And what is that? One, stand for something. Be opinionated. Be provocative, be controversial. Now, that doesn't mean you have to be horrible, or it doesn't mean you have to say stuff just for being awkward. What it means is, if social gives you a way to demonstrate your expertise and knowledge, then do it. What I would say is far too many people have become what I would call social media middlemen. They never give their opinion. They never give their view. They never demonstrate their expertise and knowledge. They just share stuff. Sharing's caring, that's all right. But if all you're doing is sharing, why am I going to hire you? You're not the expert. I want the go-to expert. So turn up and demonstrate with your posts, demonstrate with your comments on other people's posts, your knowledge, your expertise. Be opinionated, stand for something. You got to be Marmite. Most people on social want to please everybody. Their posts are very nicey. They're not confrontational. I like this, but I could like that. And you might like this and you might like that. No one cares. No one's going to look at that stuff. You need to say that bit of equipment's rubbish. Why? This one's much better. Here's why. Because at the end of the day, it's your opinion. Doesn't mean it's right. But people, if they're paying you or they want to hire you or they want to have more of what you're doing, want your opinion. So be opinionated. There's a very good expression that I say that if you sit on the fence, all you do is get splinters up your ass. And that's what most people do. They don't commit to one thing or the other because they're frightened of upsetting one lot or the other. Well, you have to. You have to. There is no sitting on the fence because nobody will then resonate with you and you won't develop your tribe or your gang or your nothing because you won't commit to what it is. So there's a range of things there depending on your business, how aggressive you want to be with it, so to speak. But those are the fundamentals. You got to be doing something exciting. When in video, the bars move. On LinkedIn, everyone keeps saying you got to do video, you got to do video, you got to do video. No, you haven't. Who says you have to do video? I haven't done one video. Oleg, the guy at the Daily Mail doesn't do video. You can get great engagement. Don't have to be video because here's the thing. I've seen a lot of video. It's duller than dishwater, most of it. People in their cars. Hello, I'm waiting for the wife to finish the shopping. Thought I'd just do a couple of minute quick videos. It's all that stuff. It's rubbish. It's not a video. It's just them passing the time. The way I look at it, and maybe I'm different to other people, I don't know, but the way I look at it is I want someone to give me 2 minutes, 3 minutes of their time. So I value that because I value my time. So I want to do something that they're going to go, this was not a waste of time. This was time well spent. Most people don't do any of that. They're just chucking it up because someone said, you got to do a video every day. You got to do a tip every day. You got to do something every day. No, you haven't. I do 2 posts maximum a week. That's it. That's it. Because here's the funny thing. The real traction starts to happen in day 2, day 3. Not, you come in the next day with something, you knock out the thing you just did and you start again. Wow. There is no need to do everything every day because most people doing every day, the quality is non-existent. And here's the other thing that's important. The bar's gone up because so many are doing it. And people only now remember, I'm not saying it's got to be a Hollywood production because that's too extreme, but they've got to be a bit of editing. They've got to be sound. They've got to be lighting. They've got to be not scripted, but a script type thing going on. Funny, entertaining, amusing. I'm about to give you 6 minutes of my day. I want to come out of it laughing or that was entertaining or interesting. And so because the bar's gone up, I'm not interested in anyone sitting in their car. I don't care what it is. I'm not going to watch it. Walking down the street, hello, I'm waiting for a bus. I don't care. So before you do anything, just to add more noise, stop and think to yourself, the bar's gone up. You need to have quality now, not quantity. You need to have something that makes the audience react, provocative, exciting, learning, different. And most are in the sea of sameness, boring as anything. To give you an idea, I used to do video. After I saw some other people's video on LinkedIn, I realized how awful mine was. Seriously. So I deleted them all. I got rid of them.
It takes a big man to admit that.
Seriously. I used to just sit in my kitchen and do a 3 to 5 minute video. I thought they were quite exciting. But I watched other people's and I then realized, oh my God, mine are awful. So I deleted them. So I don't do video now. So again, if you can do quality, you have got a videographer. You have got not so much a script, but you know what you want to say, a call to action, you know what your aims are, go for it. But if you're just sitting on your couch wasting everyone's time, you'll get them there once and then you won't come back again. That's the problem.
I've tried that content every day and it is so difficult. The only way you can possibly do that, unless you write for a living and you've got a shed load of content already, it's to be massively structured and organized. And that what I've noticed, and so yeah, some of my content is structured and organized simply because of the listeners and who I target, which is students or in and around people studying marketing qualifications, so it's slightly structured. But one thing I've noticed is that it takes that authenticity slightly away from some of it, and you have to be massively careful about that.
As I said, two people are too focused on, I've got to put something out there, I've got to put something out there, I've got to put something out there. What often I've noticed is commenting on others is just as good, if not better, than posting nonsense of your own. Okay? Try and find 3 to 5 people's posts that you can add something, not great tip, don't do a 2-worder, that's meaningless. A proper comment on 3 to 5 people's posts a day. Take you 20 minutes, if that, 10 minutes. That gets you suddenly in front of another load of people. Demonstrate your knowledge, your expertise. They see your profile, they see your headline, they see what you've said. They go, oh, you're a bit different, whatever. That's more powerful than just putting out and then what you start to see is people run out. So suddenly you go, oh my God, I've got nothing to say on Friday. I know, which is your favorite chocolate, Mars bar or Twix. You start to see all that, red ketchup or brown ketchup on a bacon sandwich, because you've just run out. And then you know what? It's really hard to get people back.
Yeah.
When you put stuff out that every time they look at it, they think, oh, this is a bit rubbish. Then try and get them on something really good. No, it's impossible because you've lost me. And what people need to understand, particularly on LinkedIn and Facebook, is how I don't understand how the algorithm, but nobody does. But what we do know is what you like and engage with is what you see more of. So getting people to see your stuff who've never liked it, who've never engaged with it, is nigh on impossible because they never get to see it.
Well said. I just want to pick up on some of your posts. Well, quite a lot of your posts actually. Okay. You can be highly critical of what many social channels have become. I think you called it abusive and toxic.
Yes.
Is there any way back for some of these channels? What can we do about this, or is it just like dead in the water now? They've gone too far.
Well, I obviously, my longest time frame anywhere has been on Twitter. I started in 2008, so 11 years I've been on Twitter. When I first started, you could say pretty much anything within obviously certain boundaries, and people would debate with you. People would have banter with you. People would challenge you and had opinions and whatever. Now, none of that. They just call you, you want to see the list of mute words that I have. Seriously. It's a mile long, the abuse you get on everything. Wow. Now, that is a Twitter problem. It's a social media problem because I'm all for free speech. I welcome that. And I think Twitter and the social media platforms welcome that. But when they get so toxic and abusive that people are either frightened to post anything or are leaving, as I have. I mean, I don't post it. I haven't posted for weeks on there anymore because I just don't want the aggro. I just don't want the abuse that comes with it. It's not like it was. And now I have to put at Twitter's doorstep. I have to say they haven't put in enough things. I had an idea that I messaged them about 5 years ago. I said to them, I don't know. I don't know if there's a perfect solution to people being abusive because it's very difficult, with context of words and how you're saying it in language and all the rest of it. But here's what I would suggest. What about they must have a list of words that in their dictionary that they know are words that perhaps people shouldn't be using, all right? What about when you go to tweet something, as you press send, a message flashes up to say, we see you've used these words. Did you really want to send them? Just that moment. Did you really want to say that? And I always felt a lot of people might go, well, actually, Twitter now know I'm sending something. Maybe I'll cool down a bit. Maybe I don't want to. Now, you could still go, yeah, I still do. Come on, bring it on. Yeah. Right? But it might help. Also, the whole idea you can be so anonymous on these places. No photo, no real verification of anything. Keyboard warriors. So it's difficult, I get, from their point of view to manage this. But if your audience all leave and your audience feel that they don't feel that they can really post there anymore without fear, then that's not a great place. And then the advertisers start to move off and things start to change. So I don't post on Twitter anymore. I am on LinkedIn. Now, thus far, I've had a lovely experience. Now, I've had a few people saying some odd things at me, all right, which I sort of take on the chin. You have to accept as you become a bit more visible, you're going to get people showing up, but not the so abusive nature as Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Not so far. Now, I hope that stays the same, but it's very difficult. But, I think people need to hang out where they feel safe, where they feel they can say things about a whole range of topics, where I think there perhaps does need to be better enforced boundaries that people think don't really want to talk about that or shouldn't really talk about that. But I do accept it's a difficult challenge for all of these platforms.
It's interesting what you hit on there, the fact that just the little things, and it's more psychological than anything, but the little things such as, are you sure you want to post that? You've said this and you've said that. Simply because if you look at other elements, for example, in, I can't remember which one it is, but in, let's say, a pound store, they have the photo of a policeman. It's like a real size cut out of a policeman, and it catches your eye, and it almost psychologically, it's not a real policeman, but it just gets in the back of your mind. Not that I'm like this or this inclined, but I better not steal anything. And I got an email a while ago, and somebody actually posted, it was exactly the same email, so it was a bit of spam, but it was a case of, we've got your webcam access, we've seen what you've been doing, or something like this, and I haven't done anything terrible, but it still gets into your mind, like, maybe they have. Even though you're absolutely legit, it's strange. So maybe that would work. Interesting.
And unfortunately, as great saying. Okay, if you want to lead the orchestra, you have to turn your back on the crowd. That's how this stuff.
Cool.
So if you want to be more opinionated, which you cool, if you want to be more out there, you want to lead, which perhaps some people do, you will get bows and arrows. You will get people who won't like you. Now, most of them won't like you, but won't become really abusive and obnoxious and horrible. Some of them will want nothing better than to make your life a misery. I've had people calling me all sorts of things, whatever. And as I say to everybody, you can't have a logical conversation with an illogical person. So there is no winning them round. There is no winning the argument. There is no, perhaps I can stop them. They just want the oxygen of attention of this keep going backwards and backwards and backwards. So you've got to ignore them. You've got to block and report them if it gets abusive and really nasty and whatever. And that's all you can do. There isn't anything else. But unfortunately, keyboard warriors will appear. And in a way, you're getting somewhere when they do appear. I know that sounds a bit like, oh, really? But they don't hit on people who are invisible. They don't hit on people who don't stand for something. So if you want a bit of the limelight, if you want the clients and the journalists and the radio and the fame and all the rest of it, then you do have to accept you're going to get your fair dose of criticism and aggravation along the way. That's just how it is.
Sure. I call it the Jeremy Kyle syndrome. Not so prevalent now, but I call it the Jeremy Kyle syndrome simply because there's you can't, people, or the majority of people that go on that show, I can't get into that mindset. I can't comprehend why somebody would like to go on that show. So there's no point in trying to get into that mindset. They are just who they are. And it's the same thing online.
Yes. And trying to then defend yourself, it just gets more and more and more. You're just wasting hours arguing with someone who there is no logical winning of an argument because they're not logical. So you just got to knock it on the head, say something funny, say to yourself, well, actually, I know I'm an idiot. So, yeah, you're right. And whatever, just diffuse it, and move on to the people who are valuing and are important and are interesting and are proper engaging. But they will show up. That's just the nature of online.
Absolutely. Are you ready for some quick fire questions?
Sure.
Okay. Name one must-read business book.
Okay, so I'm not the greatest business book reader, but two people that I do read a lot of their blogs and comments, Simon Sinek would be one, and Seth Godin would be another one.
Oh, absolutely superb. What was the last thing you Googled?
I Googled about Game of Thrones, funnily enough. How many episodes were there in the last season? I just binge watched 8. Is it 7? I can't remember how many seasons are now. I've just been watching the whole lot. Yeah, so I Googled how many episodes are there.
Who doesn't love a good binge watch? What is your most used app at the moment?
Oh, LinkedIn without a shadow of a doubt.
Obviously, that was no brainer, that one. What would be your one tip for people who are studying at the moment?
Um, okay, so I would probably say if it doesn't go to plan, don't worry. There's always other things you can do. Everyone's going to go for it, do the best you can. But you know what? It's not the end of the world if you don't. I failed just about every exam I've ever taken. It really, there is life if you don't get the grades that you think you're going to get. And
Okay,
often it's the best thing that could ever happen to you because it moves you into a different direction that you wouldn't have considered. And then you end up much happier. So don't view it as a disaster if you don't get what you're expecting.
yeah, it's only recently that I've come to the realization, and people say it, but you don't really believe it. But when one door closes, there are actually other doors. It sounds like a horrible statement to say, but there always is. There just is.
Absolutely. And often that door is better and it's more interesting, but you never would have got to it without shutting the door first or without something bad happening in the first place. Listen, it's all about learning, at that age. When you're in your 20s, you think you know everything and
Mhm.
everything's a disaster and oh my God, life's finished and all this sort of stuff. It isn't. There is light at the end of the tunnel and there's certainly loads of other things that you'll encounter. One thing I would suggest you do is get yourself a LinkedIn profile or get yourself, if you're looking for
Yep.
work, the other comment I would say to any of your students, okay, is before you go for that job application, before you do anything, look at your social media activity. No one is saying you can't enjoy life. No one is saying you can't have fun, but you might want to reconsider some of the photos you have online when you're in the adult world of now going to work for a bank or firm of lawyers. You smoking drugs on the beach ain't going to work in your favor. So just look at, what you've done in the past and just recalibrate some of this stuff.
Okay, a couple of final questions because I'm just loving this. Bacon butty, brown sauce or red sauce?
Okay, red sauce.
That's my next social post, by the way. Uh, Final question:
Yes.
what did we do before social media?
We went out and we talked to people. And this is the irony, is that everyone can almost remember now when something happens that is going back to basics. When you get a handwritten note, you go, oh my God, I got a handwritten note. When someone in the shop knows your name, these sorts of things were tried and trusted. You went into the butcher's, hello, Mr. So-and-so, what do you want? Your usual. When you walk into a place and they go, do you want your usual? Oh yeah, that is what we did before social. And that's where I think a lot of people have stopped doing any of that stuff because they think social is everything when just doing the basics, know your customers' names, knowing what people want, being more personable. People are crying, all this generic happy birthday. No one wants a generic happy birthday. Send them a card. Those little touches that cost you nothing, back to basics. The impact they can have now is so much bigger than they were 10 years ago because no one does it now and it's such a simple thing to do. But go and talk, walk up and down your high street. You'll be amazed at what you see sometimes.
And finally, Mark, if people want to find out more about yourself or get in touch with you, where should they go?
LinkedIn, Mark Shaw 101.
Mark, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. I could talk to you all day about this stuff because you're so engaging. So are your posts. If people haven't seen any of your posts, get on LinkedIn. And if you follow one person, follow Mark because he's just superb and he sets the agenda. He gets the conversation flowing as good social posts should. Mark, once again, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me on your show. Thank you.
Great stuff.
Cool. Thank you for that.
Loved it. That was brilliant. Really enjoyed it. Thank you so much for taking your time to do this.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. Just let me know when you're distributing it or whatever, and
Yeah.
I'll a few people know whatever or do
Yeah,
whatever.
will be. So I think it's the back end of July. I think it is. But
Okay.
I'll send you an email and let you know all the details and stuff like that. And then I'll be in
Brilliant.
touch just before it anyway to make sure it's going to be posted everywhere.
Brilliant. Look forward to it.
So where do we start with any type of takeaways from that riveting conversation with Mark? Thanks for joining us once again. Well, first of all, when using social media as part of your communications, marketing communications that is, What should we always remember? Remember, it's a social platform. From a business perspective, you need to ask yourself, does it drive the needle nearer to our main objectives, whatever we're doing on these social platforms? If not, you need to start questioning your motives and strategy. This isn't to say all posts should be salesy, far from it. Be helpful, engaging, and be social. But how do you get noticed on these social platforms? Here are Mark's top tips. 1. Stand for something. 2. Be exciting in a way that resonates with your ideal clients. And 3. Value your audience's time as much as you value your own. And finally, we'll end with a great quote from Mark. If you want to lead the orchestra, you need to turn your back on the audience. That's not to say ignore your tribe, the people you want to be speaking with, no. It simply means be you. Do you. This is your niche, and there's only one person like you on this planet. You've guessed it. That's you. Yeah, you. And on to this week's top tip. The final P in our extended marketing mix, or 7 Ps. People. But where do people fit into the extended marketing mix? This was originally introduced as part of the extended mix for services or digital, but I feel it's as relevant within a product-based company as it is a service. People form part of the service you are offering, be it a health spa or a retail outlet, but they are much more than just people. These superstars determine the level of customer satisfaction or dissatisfaction that is created every time they come into contact with one of your or their customers. Think of a bad experience you've had, and I can almost guarantee it either included somebody doing something poorly or unprofessional, not to the level you expected, or they were part of the solution, either positively or negatively. That is how important people are. In order to get this element of the mix to a high standard, it all starts with hiring the right people, with the right attitude and skills, so they can deal with customers professionally and, most importantly of all, in line with your brand values. A great way to highlight this is the service you would expect to get in McDonald's and the Ritz. Both may be impeccable, applaudable, but they would both be very different experiences, conforming to each company's brand values. Thank you so much for joining us today on Marketing Study Lab. It really means the world that you're listening to this out there, and hopefully I've provided you some value. If you're looking to know more about what Marketing Study Lab does and is about, go to marketingstudylab.co.uk or get in touch with me personally, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, or feel free to email me at peter@marketingstudylab.co.uk. Happy marketing.